Blizzard, let's chat! What's up guys, Krohun here, bringing you episode 2 of Blizz Let's Chat. In this episode, we're going to go over several topics of PvP, as we always do, and we're going to follow up with some questions that you guys have posted to me, and I'm going to answer them straight out. Okay, so first, Blue Post says, the proliferation of undrinkable CC, Ring of Peace, Solar Beam, Fist of Fury, etc., etc., is a dangerous trend in PvP. And their reply is, agree. Now, I might not be the only one here, and I'm hoping I'm not, but I do not understand how we agree that, this is just a stupid thing to have in PvP, but we're gonna keep it in there anyway. And Blizzard says and does this all the time, and it frustrates me so much. Like, something where you can't do anything no matter what. Fist of Fury is kind of, I'd say, right on the barrier on this one, because you trinket it and you get a less duration, but it does still stun you. So, but it's just for half the amount of time. So that's kind of fairish. But Solar Beam, like, if they root you in it, you are eating all of the time and you can't trinket. Well, you can trinket the root to get out, but then they have that big vortex thing that keeps pulling you back in and stuff like that. And then you also, Ring of Peace, which just disarms anyone that's standing in it, and that is pretty bad. Another one that obviously isn't commented on is the Frost Trap, the one that goes on the floor, not the one that turns, not Ice Trap, but Frost Trap. I think it's Frost Trap anyway. The one that goes across the floor and it slows you and you can't get out of the slow apart from using like Blessing of Freedom or something like that. Oh, Hand of Freedom, sorry. That's me just being an old WoW player, I guess. I'm wondering like why they think it's okay. Same as Blade Storm used to be disarmable, right? And before then it wasn't, and they put it to disarmable because it was too much damage that you couldn't stop. You couldn't stun them like you could other people. And so they was like, alright, we're gonna have to remove that. And then they took it back and put it so you can't do anything against them. The same sort of thing as where I think that everyone should be able to break anything. It's just it needs to have like a cooldown and you base everything on cooldown. Sort of like, alright, so Paladin bubbles. Everyone should have a way of breaking that bubble, but it needs to be on a big cooldown. And then bubble isn't so overpowered anymore, like, and it doesn't stop you from doing whatever to that paladin. It just means that you have to pop a cooldown, and it could be a big move that costs like, it could be like you have to pop your big damage trinket, but then it eats all of it as soon as you attack them. It just removes your damage trinket or whatever, or sort of like warriors have to Shattering Throw. Maybe just make Shattering Throw do tons of damage, but then when you do it on a target that's, got bubble up, it just removes the bubble, kind of. That sort of thing where, it just has a bigger cost for you. And obviously this isn't implemented in the game right now, but realistically it probably should be by now. Like, don't put in things that make you immune to something, right? Completely immune to something. Yes, have something remove it, or make the duration of it be reduced. This has actually come through quite strongly in Nimble Brew, which just come out, which is how I feel that stuff should be like. So it shouldn't give you immunity or theoretical immunity, like Tremor Totem always being up for every single priest fear. So against priests they're immune to fears, which shouldn't be how it is. That sort of thing. On the other hand, you have like other things to take into consideration, but Tremor Totem should be, okay, so every other fear or every few fears you can get rid of your fear, and then that would make sense. But that's not the case right now, and you can just get out of every single fear, which kind of screws over priests in that sense, because they have no way of stopping other people hitting them and stuff like that. And those sort of things should be removed, right? So I'm agreeing with what Blizzard said, but they're not doing anything about it. They just say they agree. It's like, yeah, we're removing Ring of Peace and Solar Beam's ability to make you complete, disarm 100% on Ring of Peace and silence 100% on Solar Beam. It's just for the first spell, if you cast during Solar Beam, you get a 4-second silence, whatever, or if it applies a silence to you and then you can trinket it and it doesn't reapply if you're in the Solar Beam kind of thing. So like you trinket it, and because it just applies anyone that's touching that thing, so anyone that's touching Solar Beam, it gets a silence applied to them. If they trinket, it gets rid of the silence, and it doesn't reapply. Same with Ring of Peace, you get disarmed, but if you trinket, it gets rid of the disarm, but you don't get affected by Ring of Peace anymore. Like, that's how things should be. The same as the same sort of thing with DKs being able to get out of stuns and be permanently immune to stuns. They should be a trinket and then reduce the duration of stuns, or just reduce the duration of stuns overall and remove the first one or something like that. you know, something where it doesn't make you completely overpowered. And I don't understand why this has managed to go through, all of these things go through to live, and I think Blizzard needs to consider that you should be able to stop anyone from doing anything within reason, you know, like, so you stop them doing something, no matter what class you are or whatever, you should be able to be like, alright, I can get out of a CC. Every class should have a way out of CC, it should just be whether, how strong that way out is. Like, some classes might be, you have to, use some big cooldown for you, or whatever, you know, like, priests can Shadow Word Death, and paladins can use Hand of Sacrifice and stuff like that to get themselves out of certain CCs and things like that. And I think everyone should have a way out of CC. It should just, the skill cap should be different, whatever, and, you know, how easy it is should be different as well. So, like, an easy one, high cooldown, a hard one, low cooldown. You know, those sort of things should be how the game is. Okay, so second topic is, it takes 29 wins to cap Conquest in regular Battlegrounds. At 50% win ratio, that is 58 wins per week. Too much? And the reply is, the idea is really to do RBGs or arenas to earn Conquest. And that's not the case, and they've completely worded what they've said wrong. What it is, right, for you to cap your Conquest, you always have to do RBGs, no matter what. You can't just do BGs and arenas or anything like that, and that's really frustrating for anyone that does do, just does arenas or whatever. I don't currently do any RBGs really, because they kind of are boring for the most part. Like, I'd have to be with a group of people that I really like, and I haven't found a decent guild on my server. So, those are my problems. But, if you just look at it as a general thing, you should be able to cap Conquest pretty easily through doing just regular Battlegrounds. But it shouldn't be, your cap should be reduced. And apparently, Blizzard doesn't care. Like, you know, so let's say you can get, you know, they increase the amount of Conquest you can get to about half of what it is for arenas or rated Battlegrounds. But, so that's your cap, but you can do all that through BGs and then increase the amount of win you get for a BG. And I think that would be fair, because then you don't always you're still going to get people going into arena, but, you know, it's like, you know, 3 times as fast in arena, and, you know, you've got the other things to think about, but it would mean that it's a lot fairer. I think 58 wins, because, you know, let's say, like, it's about between 20 and 30 minutes for each win. It's probably longer on certain ones, but, you know, let's just say that's about it. Let's say 20 minutes. You know, 20 minutes times 58, and you're looking at a lot of time in a week, and I just don't understand it. So, I really, really would like Blizzard to consider changing how they do that. I'd like to see that arena, you can just do arena, or just do rated Battlegrounds to cap completely, and then Battlegrounds actually give you a bit more of a boost. Even if it was just like, your win of the day gave you an extra chunk for Conquest or something like that. So you do it every day, and then you get to about 50% if you do it every day. If you do it one after another, it doesn't do so much. And then maybe it'll be okay-ish, but I don't think they, you know, they don't have win of the day anymore and other things like that, so I don't think it all works out too well. Okay, so we're moving on to the portion of the video where I answer questions from you guys. And I was actually surprised at the amount of questions I got. Seems it was the first ever episode, and I didn't know what kind of questions I'd get. But I got a few, and it's kind of weird. The first one comes from a guy called Jude Zakimo. I don't know how... Jude Zakimo. That's his in-game name. And he says, I'm leveling a monk at the moment. He's 89 now. What's the common rotation you pull in PvP? And I've kind of done a video about this, but I'll explain roughly. What your plan is to do is get up your Tiger Palm, and then you have your... Then, once that's up, it's Rising Sun Kick. And you can do these either way around. A lot of people say, like, oh, you want to, you know, Rising Sun Kick so you can get your next Rising Sun Kick will do more damage faster, because the second one is where the Rising Sun Kick starts to do more damage, because it get benefits from the Rising Sun Kick that you did originally. And that's fair enough, but you basically get Rising Sun Kick, and then you get Tiger Palm up. And, you know, if you want to go for the Tiger Palm first, that's going to benefit, your first Rising Sun Kick is going to benefit more from the armor penetration that you've put up from it. So, yeah, either way around, you put those two up, and then you spamming Blackout Kick whenever it comes up. Obviously, you're jabbing to get the chi for this whenever you need it, so you just jab, jab, jab. And try and keep your energy as high as possible and your chi as high as possible, so you can use them for other things, like, you know, Fist of Fury costs 3 chi, and if you need to stun on a clutch moment, then you need those 3 chi there. So you try and keep it 3 chi at least at all times. But it's kind of a weird topic because some people think you don't need to do that. The main other thing you want to do is you have Fist of Fury, and obviously that's a lot of damage. It's equivalent of doing, for 3 chi, it's equivalent of having like several blackout kicks in a row. And people look at it in different ways. I see it as, use it as at most as a stun, but aim to get it at a good point. So like at times I'll like leg sweep 2 DPS and I'll be going for the healer obviously, and I'll have Rising Sun kick up and I'll have the Tiger Palm up and I'll Fist of Fury just the healer on his own, and it'll do tons of damage, but I'm gaining energy back, so I'll be on low on energy or something, and I'll just save the chi with the energy, and then I'll pump out a ton of damage, and it, like, the healer can't trinket, so you've gained that first big chunk of damage, and then obviously then you're putting the pressure out, and you're just, like, that's when I'm trying to just get cooldowns though, without popping any cooldowns myself. And obviously if your DPS is doing that as well, you're gonna start to smash that healer. If you get a healer that ends up with a pet next to him, like a hunter pet or something, you're gonna lose half the damage. So a lot of the time you won't want to eat all of it or whatever, you know, sometimes you will. And it just depends what you are as a player like. But I'd say Fist of Fury used more as a stun rather than a damage. In PvE is completely different. You use it just for the damage, but PvP, there's no point. Just go for it as a stun and then use the damage as an advantage then. The next question was from a guy called Chomag725. And this was in the comments of the video, which said, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, probably BM Hunter, Rogue, etc., how would you rate Windwalker Monks at 1v1? Next patch, of course. And next patch, I'd say 1v1, you're gonna still be looking at Windwalker being the best in the right hands. And I think at max skill levels, it's always gonna be Windwalker. And people debate with me about this quite a bit. And I just want to, like, there's certain classes that do better against them than others and whatever else. But the main thing is, where you have quite a few different little defensive stuff, and your heal is pretty good, and you're good at running away from people, which is stupidly overpowered when you're playing in a duel. Where running away is the main thing that you need to know how to do, and when to do it. Like, because you're literally just going to run away, and you're going to put healing spheres on yourself until you get to full health, and you're just going to keep kiting them, because you're probably the best kiting class in the game. And so you just heal, run. And as long as you put your portal in the right place and use Flying Serpent Kick at the right times, you're going to always keep away from someone and get yourself high health again. And there's very few other classes that can counter that, other than healers, which we're not going to count, because this is about DPS, or I'm assuming it is. If it's about healers as well, then you might be looking at Resto Druids, because they can never die if they play themselves correctly. Mostly just because they can just keep running and just dotting and running and dotting, and you just be there forever kind of thing. But I'm going to say it's probably them, as long as you play it right. Probably, you know, still really competitive with BM Hunters and Rogues and stuff, and Mages as well. But I'd still say Monks are probably the best, and maybe that's just because I play a Monk, but I feel as though there's so much more options as a Monk than there is for anyone else. I'd say you'd still struggle a bit with certain caster classes, since the changes to the Spear Hand Strikes. You can't just lock them down for a while. You're tending to aim for the interrupt. There's no point in aiming for the silence, because it's one more global, basically, because they already used one global and then while they're casting, so it seems a bit silly. But that's just, I'd say, how things work out. I'm gonna leave the video here, mostly because if I decide to put in more mail now and then I don't get any on the next video, I'll kind of be depressed, because I'll have wasted I'd have wasted the questions in a way, and then I would feel like, you know, I can't make another one until I get more questions, and then, you know, it might take a while. So I'm gonna save some, and then next week if I have more, then I will post more, but I'm not gonna overcommit and then realize I've screwed up, so you don't get me to be able to do this anymore. And I feel like I waited a bit long with this one, so hopefully if I get more questions in faster, I'll do more, so that, you know, I'm not got any saved or whatever, and I'll just keep pumping them out faster as this hopefully gets bigger and better. Either way, I'll leave you here. Have a great day. Don't forget, the email is krohunmail@gmail.com. You send any question you want about anything to do with World of Warcraft. maybe some sort of editing questions or something like that to do with videos or how I'm doing on YouTube or anything like that, if you really want to. I don't think I'll be prioritizing those as questions though, because it seems this isn't a YouTube channel about making your YouTube channel better or anything to do with video editing. This is about World of Warcraft, mostly, you know, just video games in general. I don't mind answering video game questions. I probably put them higher priority than video editing questions. But yeah, also if you just want to leave a comment because you can't be asked to actually mail me, I do prioritize the things that come through the mail, but you know, if you want to put something from you just want to check some in the comments really quick, that's great too. I still will add them to the list of possible questions that I will put in the video. And I will see you again soon. Goodbye!